Second.
Yay! Hi.
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm well. You look so cute with your braids.
Oh, thank you. Got my little boho locks in.
Yeah, no, it looks so good. And you're in a hotel room. What part of the world are you in?
And I can't even talk about it. It's always so frustrating for people.
Oh, man. No exclusives then. That's great. Well, look, thank you so much, Victoria, for joining us. We're live on Choice FM. It's going to play out tomorrow as live. But yeah, no, it's fantastic to have you on the show, Victoria. Thank you so much. Since we met, sorry. Oh, I think I just lost your audio there.
Oh, no. Okay.
Oh, it's dipping in and out a little bit.
I can put headphones on. Sometimes it really clears it.
Yeah, should we put the headphones on if that has helped before?
You know, they're going to change the look a little bit.
Oh, no.
We can try.
Yeah, let's have a try with it, just because I'd hate to not get clear.
How is that?
Oh, that's perfect.
There we go. Perfect.
Amazing. So let me start again, okay?
No.
Yeah, we're literally dead on 7, so that's perfect. So
perfect.
This hour, I'm here with Victoria Ekanoye. Victoria, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a while since we spoke, so I'm really looking forward to this.
Literally, I was just about to say we met because we are actually on the same agency.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I reached out to, my agent reached out to your agent, even though they probably share the same office, because I wrote a TV pilot, and I thought that you and another woman on our roster would be fantastic to read. And yeah, it's been a process of sort of pitching it, but you are a versatile, actress. You're a TV actress, you've done film, you're away right now on a job. How did you get into entertainment, Victoria?
Well, I'm actually a singer. I've been singing since I was maybe 3-4 years old, and driving my mum insane, I imagine, by locking myself in my room and singing along to all the songs to, I guess, try to craft my voice. And then my actual introduction into the industry was musical theatre. So it was The Lion King. And I started that in 2007. And it kind of has progressed from there. So I went on from doing that to doing the Blues Brothers in America, which was a 22-state tour over a really short period of time. It was crazy. And then I had my first TV role in 2014, which is crazy.
It's crazy. So 2014, so just coming up for a decade, 8 years. What was that first role like? Oh
gosh, so it was The Royals, and incidentally, Netflix have just picked it up to air. So now, because it was an American show, so it aired in the States. It was with Lionsgate, and now let Netflix have it, so you can actually binge watch all 4 seasons. In the UK. It's really exciting. We're all really excited.
Congrats.
And it was very thank you. It was really nerve-wracking, to be honest, because they're such different mediums and they're such different crafts, if I'm honest. The skill of acting for screen and acting for stage are completely different. And because I had a very unorthodox way of becoming, being a part of this industry, I didn't have that training to understand how to navigate that. So I just had to go on instinct as much as I possibly could and hope that it worked. But yeah, I had a great time. We did 4 seasons.
I was going to say it must have worked because you was in all 4 seasons, weren't you?
Yeah, it was so much fun. We had a great time. Met some amazing people on that show, and I'm still friends with them today, and it's so lovely to be able to say that, because sometimes you can get so bogged down with the actual work and the character, and you focus that you don't get a chance to create and develop relationships with cast members and crew members. But we did do that on that show, which is lovely. And And then my next TV job, which I actually got as we were filming season 4 of The Royals, was Coronation Street.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so that's been I mean, that was a hell of a whirlwind, and that's, you know, it's an institution. It's my mum's favorite show. She has been watching Coronation Street since she was 18 years old.
Wow.
So, and she's just turned 60, so that's a very long time. Yeah, and that was an honor, to be honest, because it's just one of those shows that everybody knows and loves, and being a Northern actress as well, it's kind of, it's the pinnacle. It's where you kind of you hope to achieve, and then you kind of go on from there, and hopefully that will be the case.
And that's a bit of a bucket list thing then for you, isn't it? A bit
For
like
sure.
for us as Londoners, EastEnders would have
EastEnders, exactly. Yeah, exactly the
holy
same.
grail of television.
It is the holy grail.
No, that's lovely. How long was you on Corrie for?
A year and a half. Yeah,
Yeah.
it flew by. For me, it really flew by, though. I think when you come into something and you're kind of the new girl or the new guy, and it was Paddy and I, who played my husband Jude, coming into a show where everybody has a rhythm and they all know exactly what, I mean, their characters come to them so easily. And for us, you're trying to hit the ground running, and it can be quite daunting. And it was for me, especially because I'd also watched all of these people growing up, you know, for years and years and years. And it was very nerve-wracking, but I have to say that we really looked out by having Patty Clare, who plays Mary on the show. So she played my mother-in-law on the show, because she is just incredible. She's an amazing actress, an incredible woman, very smart and very funny. And so it was almost like it made our job so much easier to be able to have her to anchor onto in the show.
Brilliant. And so, Victoria, you're very vocal, you know, outside the sort of world of television about different causes. So the first one that I wanted to speak to you about was sickle cell. Now, this is something that has become ever so prevalent to me in the last 3 years. I have had 2 children, and we spoke about that as well.
I know, but I still like to say it because it's a joy.
And sickle cell, became something that was really important, because, as you know, once you kind of go for your first scan and they're talking about your bloods and your heritage, you know, and your kind of biochemistry, they're looking out for different things that might impede on the pregnancy.
Yeah, for sure.
Sickle cell, in the sense that I have the trait. And what it really did for me was kind of open up the fact that, you know, I do suffer with fatigue sometimes. I do have different things that I go through as a sickle cell trait. I've not got the full blown, but I, you know, people with the trait do have certain kind of like lesser presenting, what am I trying to say? We don't have the full blown going to hospital.
Yeah, the symptoms can be a little bit, a little bit dampened.
How did you come into contact with the fact that you suffered with sickle cell?
Oh, you know, it was a little bit crazy, to be honest, because I didn't present as a child with the typical symptoms. I do have the full condition. I do have sickle cell disease. However, I have HBSC, so it's a milder version of the full. So HBSS is you know, where people really suffer, really struggle. They have blood transfusions regularly, medication every day. The pain is so debilitating for them, almost on a daily basis, or at least very regularly. I'm lucky in the sense that my mum was a carrier, so she had the trait, but my dad had the full thing. So I have combined, I guess, combined, what that meant for me was I had it, but it wasn't as debilitating, I guess, as it could have been. I was actually, it was 2004, so I would have been 23 when I realized that I had the full thing, because they told my mum I was a carrier when I was born. Now, I know that sounds very odd to a lot of people probably who have it, and how can you not know that you have it? But 2 things really. My dad wasn't a part of my life, so I couldn't liken my symptoms to somebody and go, oh, that's what it is. The doctors told my mum that I had just growing pains, that the sickle pains I was having were growing pains. And to be honest, we were so disappointed with this for such a really long time, but actually realized that it's not so much that it's a fault of the doctor, it's the fact that it's not taught in medical school. It's not up there with so many other things, or at least it wasn't, 30 odd years ago. A lot of people, even now, there are some doctors who have to go and look it up before they come and talk to me about it, which is absolutely insane, and in my opinion, especially when you think of the fact that it can be fatal for some people.
That's true.
But I, for whatever reason, was very, very able-bodied growing up, and I did a lot of sports as a child. I trained as a 100-meter sprinter. I did all kinds of very physical sports as well for a really long time, and I did struggle, but I didn't know that was why. I just assumed I was doing too much. So I did netball, I did rounders, I was swimming in galas, I was competing at meets with the athletics, and so we just kind of thought, I'm just doing too much, And I also kind of kept it quiet from my mum just how much I was struggling. So I didn't want her to pull me from the teams. I didn't want to worry her. I didn't want her to feel like I couldn't do what I really loved doing. So I wasn't 100% honest as a child with all of that. And then it wasn't until I was working away in Mallorca in 2004 that I had my first real proper crisis, and it was partly to do with the heat and me not hydrating enough, because I didn't realize I needed to on that kind of level. And it was really bad. I had to cut short the contract I was on, come back to the UK. They did a load of tests, and that's when I found out. So to have the full condition, and to not know until I was in my early 20s, when I think of other people who do have a condition and have struggled with it all their lives, as odd as this sounds, I feel incredibly lucky because I had a relatively normal childhood because I was unaware of the condition. So the pains and things I was feeling, I was like, oh, it's fine. And I was just pushing through. But I think sometimes knowing that you have something makes you do less because you're so scared.
Yeah, I totally get that. Wow. So do you find now that it becomes something that you're sort of hyper aware of, so you don't go that extra mile?
Yeah, absolutely. It played a really massive part. I mean, I now take it very seriously, and I changed my diet, I changed my lifestyle, really looking after my body.
Yeah, how do you eat?
Yeah, so I became once I found out just how bad this was, I started to slowly cut out anything that I did a lot of research, and I started to cut out anything that I thought would be detrimental in a health way, which also kind of contradicted what you need for your body. So you need iron, you need the protein. I did a lot of research, and I started to cut out the heavy amounts of dairy. I started to cut out the high sugar, high salt, high saturated fat, and slowly animal products. So I cut out the red meat, then for a while the poultry, then went on to the fish, and then I became fully plant-based for about 3 years. I really had to look into the supplement side of things, because if you become plant-based and you don't, you can actually make yourself really ill. There are a lot of people out there who have told me, actually, when they've talked about cutting certain things out of their diet, that you're almost making things worse for yourself if you don't know how to supplement those minerals and vitamins and everything that you need. But actually the sickle cell now played a massive role in my pregnancy. My son now is 15 months. Yeah, so Theo is 15 months, and he's
gorgeous.
He's best
gorgeous.
thing in the world.
Socials. He's so cute. He really looks like the both of you as well.
Thank you. He does. Thank you very much. And he's so cheeky and so clever and so quick. I'm scared because he's growing up so fast. But yeah, he's 15 months, and I had to inject myself every single day in the tummy or the thigh
Wow.
with a drug called heparin, which was an anti-clotting medicine because of the sickle cell. And I had to take aspirin to keep my blood thin. And that was for 6 months of the pregnancy, and then for another 6 weeks after the baby was born.
Wow.
Just to stop me from, you know, essentially having all of these really scary side effects that can happen with sickle cell and throughout pregnancy. And then I think recovering from everything afterwards took a little bit longer.
Sure.
Recovery in general from any kind of trauma to the body is a lot harder for anybody with sickle cell, as you would know. So that was quite a lot, and I think it made me, you know, having a baby throughout COVID, getting pregnant at that time when it was really scary to do anything, never mind bring a life into, you know, a life into the world, and be so fearful of catching it and what would that do to the baby, because we actually found out we were pregnant in June 2020, which was so soon. Like, it was at the beginning where everybody was like, this virus going. Exactly. So it was really scary, and I just thought, am I doing the right thing?
Wow.
We thought, are we doing the right thing bringing a child into the world when there's this virus going around that's essentially, it's killing people? And we didn't, you know, because at the beginning that's what all we knew, is that people were dying of this virus, and it was so virulent and so, you know, really contagious, and it was so scary. But I'm so happy that we were able to isolate enough that I felt safe enough, because obviously then psychologically I was beginning to think, is this going to be, am I going to panic to the point of causing myself harm, causing, you know, the pregnancy to have complications? But thankfully we were able to be safe and stay safe, and now Theo is here and definitely ruling the roost, running riot.
Oh, God bless you, the three of you.
Thank you.
Amazing. I mean, I guess, you know, just to switch gears a little bit back to your career, because we spoke about your TV gigs, and also you've done some films as well. Do you find that it's a slightly different discipline, isn't it, working on a kind of continuing dramas for TV, as opposed to sort of get out of a film?
Yeah, I have to say,
film sets.
Yeah, I have to say, it's actually harder. It was harder on Coronation Street than anything else I've done, because you film out of sequence. You don't film. So for instance, in the morning, you have a blazing row with the person that you're in a relationship with, and you hate each other, and then you go for lunch, and then in the afternoon you film the section before that, so you haven't had that argument yet. So all the anger and frustration that you've built up has to dissipate, and all of a sudden you're lovey and you're fine and you're affectionate and it's fine. So number one, it gets filmed out of sequence. Number two, you can film different episodes on the same day.
That's right.
So whereas a lot of the time, not always, but and also it's a lot, it can be a lot, you know, up to 8, 9, 10 scenes in a day. Whereas on film, you get a little bit more time. You get more time with the script, because you know from beginning to end, you know, the arc of the story, the arc of the characters, you know exactly what you're doing. Whereas with, more often than not, with, or at least with the shows that I've done, it can change at any minute. The block can then move weeks down the line. The storyline can change. Anything can happen. So actually, I think doing Coronation Street was my training for screen acting, whether it's TV or film, because of how much you film, how quick it is. And so I'm really grateful to have been a part of that, because I feel like it made me hit the ground running, especially having come from theatre. And again, with the Royals, we had maybe, I'd probably say, a week and a half per episode, whereas with Corrie, you can whereas with Coronation, but compared to Coronation Street, where we could do maybe, I don't know, 3 eps in a week. It's a lot. So
that's
I think
fast paced for what feels like a very kind of slow mo,
chilled and slow. Yeah,
kind of, you know,
no, honestly,
happens and it's like, what? That's What's
it's a skill and a half. I have to say, I have to take my hat off to anybody that has done it, and I'm incredibly grateful. Like I said, I'm really proud to have been a part of it, because it really does kick you into shape, and you just learn so much. You learn so much in such a short space of time. So yeah, so it was probably, it was tougher for anybody just coming into things to do that than to do film.
Wow. Okay. And in terms of film and TV, which do you prefer?
If I'm honest, it's hard, because with the film, like I said, because you know the beginning and the end, you can exactly map out how you're going to develop your character. Okay. You know exactly what the end result needs to be. You know where your character will be in their head in relation to every other character in their own storyline. So you can make really great choices all along the way and be solid with them. Whereas I think, and I love that, and it's great because you have more time. But then with TV, because it does keep you on your toes, and I kind of have always lived that way, I kind of like that. But also you get a longer period of time to develop that character, because it can be over, you know, like I said, I did a year and a half with Corrie. So for that whole period of time, there was ups and downs, and, you know, different interactions and storylines with different characters. So I don't know if I have a preference of the two. Right. I just really like to be able to sink my teeth into the character, whether it's TV or film. Theatre's a whole different ball game.
Yeah. No, I can imagine.
Because with theatre, you cannot say, "Oh, 1 second, can I just do that again?" You don't get that.
No,
you just got to hit the ground running, and that's
there,
it.
So they're seeing everything.
Correct.
Every night, yeah, and matinee as well, and just get it right. Absolutely. On the day. But I think there's more of a vibe in theatre because of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas it's like constructed realism on telly, isn't it? And
absolutely.
Even more constructed, because it's like couple of takes done, move on to the next scene, couple of takes, boom. But like you say, you have a clearer overall arc of what the whole world is about.
Yeah.
What I'm getting from you is that TV, they can change those arcs at a moment's note, literally.
We've had rewrites of scripts in the morning.
Yes, yeah, and it's literally constant rewrites and drafted in the room. No, it makes sense. It makes sense. That's lovely. And so I want to kind of go back to your personal stuff, just because I find you just massively inspiring. I think I'm really quite taken aback by the fact that you've got so much going on personally, but you still show up, you still smile, you still, you know, you must have reservoirs of a lot of strength and courage. And I think obviously that's why women gravitate to you. And I know you're like, oh, really?
I guess
no energy. But
I think I hear what you're saying, and it's really lovely, and I appreciate it, and thank you. I think for me, I'm kind of just, I just feel really lucky, because I think I have such an incredible support system around me, like my friends, my family, with everything that's gone on. You can't do it all on your own, and you know, especially with the last 6 months for me, as you know, that have been very difficult. Also having a child, a young child to raise and love and protect, it's a lot. And so I don't know if I could be as I guess buoyant and positive and resilient and tenacious as I try to be if I didn't have them. I do feel really, really lucky, and my partner's incredible, and he, you know, I've not been able to work properly for a good couple of years because of different things, you know, not consistently with everything that happened with COVID, but also being pregnant and then having the baby and then having to have surgery and all of that kind of stuff. And so he's like, look, so many opportunities are coming in at the moment, and I'm so grateful for them. And he's saying, it's been a really long time. You need to get back to, you know, doing you. And yes, it's difficult because of the logistics of everything, because we have a young child and we live in another country, but you take whatever comes and we make it work. And I'm so grateful for that, because I needed to get back to being me after everything that had happened. I really needed that. So, and I, you know, I have so many wonderful messages all the time through from people who have, you know, read my story and understand my circumstances and everything that's happened. And it's so lovely to know that even though it can be a very dark time, you know, when you go through something like that, you're still able to shine a little bit of light for other people. It really does mean a lot, and it makes things a lot easier, because you are pulling positives from the negative and you're finding silver linings, and, you know, in
100%.
situations where you wouldn't expect to.
No, of course. And I mean, you are an advocate for breast cancer awareness.
Yes.
And that's what you've had experience of.
Yeah.
Cancer. What happened?
So it was 6 months. Theo was 6 months old, and I was breastfeeding him. Found a lump in my left breast. Really, if I'm honest, as soon as I found it, I just had this dread, because I'm the 5th person in my family now to develop breast cancer. And at the time, they'd all had testing, and nobody had the BRCA gene. Nobody had it. And it just didn't make any sense. And the BRCA gene is one of the 3 most common genes that you can have in your family history, and that causes such a high prevalence in families with breast cancer, for breast cancer. So I had this dread that, you know, who am I to escape? You know, that was what I thought, that's how I felt. But also it's really difficult, because the amount of changes, as you know, that go through your body, your mind,
yes,
hormonally, everything, when you've had a baby.
Yes.
On top of that, if you're breastfeeding, because, you know, some people aren't fortunate enough to be able to, which is such a sad time to go through anyway. And so I felt so lucky to be able to breastfeed, and it was such a special time for me and Theo. But then all of a sudden this happened, and it just kind of cast this massive cloud over something that I loved doing so much with him. Wow. So I went and got myself checked. I had an ultrasound, and the doctors told me that I was fine. So yeah. So about 3 or 4 weeks later, I just was like, oh, and it still didn't feel right. So I went back and had a second ultrasound. They also said that they thought it was nothing. However, they thought that because I was producing so much milk, they could see small calcifications, and they actually thought it was to do with blockages, which can happen, you know, with so many, so many, and so they said, look, continue to breastfeed until Theo is 1, and by this time he was 7 months, so continue to breastfeed until he's 1, so that's another 5 months, and then wait 1 more month where you don't breastfeed at all, so that the milk can dissipate, because we need to be able to do a mammogram, because obviously it's very difficult to see with all of that milk there. Essentially what they were saying was wait 6 months, but that I was fine, and it was just, they were just going to do it as a checkup. Now, these are really, these were private ultrasounds. And then I booked the job on Death in Paradise, went out to Guadeloupe, filmed that, went with my son and my mum.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was incredible. And we had the best time, and it was such an incredible crew and cast. And I think of it often and with such fond memories, except for the fact that I found my second lump whilst I was on set and did not know what to do. So I had to take myself off for 10 minutes and just breathe it out, realign my thought process and my mindset, because I was like, you're here to do a job. There's nothing you can do about it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Put it aside, deal with it when you get back. So I did.
Wow.
And then I got back, and Johnny and I and my mom and Theo, we all went back to the UK to visit family, and I went to see my GP, and they've got an incredible service, which I think is really important that women know about. And then it's called the One Stop Breast Clinic. And if you have any symptoms, you can go to them. They will make an appointment for you. You'll be seen within 2 weeks. And at that appointment, you will have everything done that you could need. So I had a physical examination, obviously, by the consultant. I had an ultrasound, I had a mammogram, I had a needle test in a lymph node that had become inflamed in my armpit, and I had 2 biopsies in each lump. This was all on the same day. I got there at 9:30 in the morning and left at 1:30 in the afternoon. So it was like all day for me. It felt like forever. And I went on my own because I didn't want to worry anybody. But I knew at that point, I remember getting really emotional during the mammogram, during the needle test, the biopsies, because I knew what was coming.
Yeah.
I knew. And then I went back to see the consultant like about an hour later, and she said, look, I am concerned with what we've seen, but obviously we have to send things off for testing. So if you can come back in a week's time and see the head consultant and bring someone with you. And as soon as you hear that sentence, it's kind of we are about to give you bad news, because they have been doing it day in and day out for God knows how many years. They know what they're seeing on the monitors. And so I went back with Johnny that following week, and I was diagnosed with breast cancer on the 13th of October. It was a lot. I'd only actually told him about the lumps a few weeks prior, because again, I didn't want to worry him. I'd only told my mom the week before the diagnosis. And on the 17th of December, I had a double mastectomy and reconstruction, and they removed lymph nodes from my left armpit.
So that's all within 6 weeks.
Yeah, it was a lot.
It's a lot.
And we,
I'm trying to think, when did I speak to you? Was it during that time?
I'm trying to remember. Time has flown, COVID has happened, nothing makes sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm not trying to make that an important moment. I'm just trying to understand, because you were saying that you was unwell at the time, but it wasn't specific.
Yeah, because I just thought,
yeah.
I guess there was even though I kind of felt like I knew, there's a very small part of me that hoped that I didn't have to worry anyone, and that actually this was all going to go away. So I just didn't say anything to so many people. And look, don't get me wrong, it's really knocked us off our feet as a family. However, we caught it really early.
Good.
We got everything out. I do have to take medication now for the next 5 years to keep it at bay. But I can work, and I can live, and I can smile, and I can dance, and I can play with my son, and I can, have the best life possible. And I'm really, really, really grateful to have that, because I know that it could have gone the other way.
You're an inspiration, truly. What's your daily routine like? How do you keep this mindset?
I meditate each evening before bed, just clear everything. I like to do, I've not been able to practice as much as I used to before, but I really love Bikram yoga, Pilates. It's really centering. I talk a lot, I think, as you can tell. I think it's really important that we don't harbor all these emotions running around. And I know that it's easier said than done, because not everybody feels comfortable expressing themselves, but I can honestly say that it makes the world of difference to it's cathartic. It's like therapy to just get it out of your system, because I think it can also cause damage. Stress in itself is a killer. So you've got to, I feel, even if it's just the one person, and that can be a friend or family member, or there are amazing support groups out there, or therapists or whatever it is that works for you. I felt that being really open and honest, because I tried to shield everybody from what I thought was happening for so long. And then when I actually got the diagnosis, I was like, right, okay, I'm not a machine. I've just had a baby already. My body is trying to deal with recovering from that, and this has happened. So I can't do this on my own. I've got to. All these incredible people in my life, they also deserve to not be kept in the dark, you know. So that was a big part of it for me. And I just try to look after my body and my mind. Music is a massive part of my I don't even know if I'd say it's part of my recovery, or it's just a part of my everyday. Like
what's your favorite genre of music?
Blues.
Ooh, okay.
Since I don't know why, because, you know, my grandma and my mom both were massive fans of country music. So, which I guess is a sweeter version of the blues in a way, but the blues have, for a really long time, it's what I prefer to sing, it's what I prefer to listen to. But the old school blues, like Howlin' Wolf and that way back in the day era, Stax, and for me, all of that, they just don't make music like that anymore. And it can take all of 10-20 seconds into the right song of that era for me to clear my mind and get back on track if I'm feeling a little bit stressed or upset about something or whatever. And writing music, I do write and I sing, and music is a massive part of my daily mantra, I guess, routine. I think there's a lot to music therapy, and I think, you know, with the right songs or compositions, it can be really, really helpful.
And Victoria, to close our conversation, what's your favorite song from a movie?
Oh gosh,
You're in music or musical theatre?
Oh God, don't do that. Okay, so I'd really struggle to say from a movie, because I love film, and there are so many that they're all swimming around my head now and I can't even think. However, I have been listening to very regularly Stand Up by Cynthia Erivo from Harriet.
Okay, nice. And we love Cynthia, Black British.
It's incredible. She is unreal. I remember watching her in The Colour Purple. I think it was at the Minor Chocolate Factory. It was in London, and I remember just going, this girl's voice. I was at.
Yes.
Oh my goodness! I was like, she's serious. And she has been. Look at her, look at the trajectory. She's been absolutely incredible. And so actually on the way here, I was listening to it in the car, and I've been listening to it a lot recently. I feel every syllable. I hear it, and the music, and the tribal, the vocals in the background, and the music. It's beautiful. So if anybody hasn't listened to it, then please do, because it's great.
I'm going to play it right now for our listeners. So
wonderful.
We're going to listen to Stand Up by Cynthia Erivo from the film Harriet. Victoria Ekanoye, Adobisi Victoria Ekanoye. Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for being so gracious. Thank you so much for being a massive inspiration to women, men, children and families everywhere. Your story is just one for the books. You should write some sort of autobiography. It's a gift. And
thank you.
It's inspiration to me as a new mom. You look beautiful, you're so gracious, and I think what you said about sharing your story but in a way that's really inspirational, light and uplifting, you've nailed that. And I just want to wish you every success with whatever filming you're doing right now.
It is not long.
Thank you so much. Not for long. Thank you for being on our show.
Thank you for having me. It's been my pleasure.
Bohemia Euphoria Film of the Week on Choice FM UK. Amplifying the voices and stories of underrepresented people through film.